The alarm bells rang through the corridors of the coalition ship Starfall. Captain Do-hyun ran to the bridge, his boots hitting the metal floor with each quick step. The red lights flashed everywhere, making shadows dance on the walls. "What's happening?" Do-hyun asked as he reached his chair. "Sir, something big just woke up on Keth Prime," said Officer Kyungmin, his voice shaking. "The sensors are going crazy." Do-hyun looked at the main screen. The dead planet Keth Prime had been empty for thousands of years. Nothing lived there. Nothing grew there. But now something was moving on its surface. "Show me," Do-hyun ordered. The screen changed. What they saw made everyone on the bridge step back in fear. A massive creature was rising from the ground. It was bigger than any building Do-hyun had ever seen. The thing looked like it was made of black crystal and sharp spikes. Its eyes burned red like dying stars. "How big is it?" Do-hyun asked, though he was afraid to know the answer. 300 meters tall, sir," Kyungmin replied. "And it's still growing." The creature let out a roar that could be heard through space. The sound hit their ship like a physical blow. Several crew members fell to their knees, holding their heads in pain. The ship's lights flickered and went out for a moment. "What was that?" someone shouted. Dr. Mira, the ship's scientist who studied alien life, was looking at her instruments with wide eyes. "Captain, this creature isn't just big. It's doing something to our minds." "That roar. It's a psychic attack." "Psychic?" Do-hyun had heard of such things but never experienced them. "Yes, sir. The creature can attack thoughts and feelings. It's making people afraid on purpose," Mira explained, her hands moving quickly over her controls. "And that's not the worst part." "What's the worst part?" "It's getting stronger. Every time someone feels afraid of it, it grows more powerful." On the screen, they watched the creature move toward the Altarian defense station. The station was huge, with thick walls and powerful weapons. It had protected this part of space for over 200 years. The creature reached the station and simply touched it. The entire structure, bigger than most cities, began to crack and break apart. Pieces of metal floated away into space like leaves in the wind. "The Altarians are sending out distress calls," reported Communications Officer Soo-hyun. "They're asking for help." "Send word to Admiral Junho," Do-hyun ordered. "Tell him we need every ship in the fleet here now." But even as he said it, Do-hyun knew it might be too late. The creature had destroyed the station in less than 5 minutes. Now it was moving toward the civilian ships trying to escape. "Captain," Mira called out, her voice full of worry, "I'm reading something strange. The creature isn't just attacking randomly. It's hunting." "Hunting what?" "Fear. It can sense who is most afraid and goes after them first." The main screen showed a terrible sight. 3 civilian transport ships were trying to fly away from Keth Prime. The creature's head turned toward them like a predator spotting prey. Its eyes glowed brighter. "Can we help them?" Do-hyun asked. "We're too far away," replied Navigation Officer Jinwoo. "It would take us 20 minutes to reach them." They watched in horror as the creature opened its mouth. A beam of dark energy shot out and hit the first transport ship. The ship simply stopped existing. One moment it was there with thousands of people inside. The next moment there was nothing but empty space. The other 2 ships tried to escape, but the creature was faster. It moved through space like it was swimming through water. Its massive hands reached out and grabbed the second ship. The metal hull crumpled like paper in its grip. "Sir, we're getting reports from all over the sector," Soo-hyun said, her face pale. "The creature destroyed the Altarian fleet. 47 ships gone in minutes." "What about the Luminari?" "They're supposed to be the strongest warriors in the galaxy. They tried to fight it, sir. The creature just absorbed their energy attacks and became bigger." Do-hyun felt a cold fear growing in his chest. The Luminari were beings made of pure energy. They could destroy planets with their power. If this creature could defeat them so easily, what hope did anyone have? "The Netheric's hive mind is also reporting failures," Soo-hyun continued. "They sent 1,000 ships working as one mind. The creature destroyed them all with a single psychic scream." Dr. Mira was studying her readings more carefully now. "Captain, I think I understand what's happening. This creature feeds on fear and destruction. Every time it kills, every time someone is afraid of it, it gets stronger and bigger. So the more we fight it, the more powerful it becomes?" "Exactly. It's like a fire that grows bigger when you throw fuel on it." The bridge fell silent as everyone thought about what this meant. How do you fight something that gets stronger every time you attack it? "Sir," Kyungmin called out, "the creature is moving away from Keth Prime. It's heading toward the Kepler colonies." "How many people live there?" 12 million, sir." Do-hyun closed his eyes for a moment. 12 million people, and this monster was heading straight for them. His mind raced, trying to think of some way to stop it. "Send a message to all ships in the area," he ordered. "Tell them to evacuate the colonies immediately. Everyone needs to get out of there now." "What about us, sir? Should we follow it?" Do-hyun looked at the creature on the screen. It was moving through space with terrible purpose, its red eyes fixed on its next target. He knew that his ship and crew were no match for this thing. But he also knew that he couldn't just run away while millions of people were in danger. "We follow at a safe distance," he decided. "Maybe we can help with the evacuation. And maybe Dr. Mira can figure out some way to stop this thing." Mira nodded, though she looked doubtful. "I'll study everything we have about ancient creatures and psychic entities. There has to be something in the old records." As the starfall changed course to follow the creature, Do-hyun watched it disappear into the darkness between stars. Somewhere ahead, 12 million people were going about their normal lives, not knowing that death itself was coming for them. The creature had resisted everything the galaxy could throw at it. Weapons, warriors, even the combined power of different alien races working together. Nothing had even slowed it down. But somewhere in the back of his mind, Do-hyun remembered an old saying his grandmother used to tell him: "The biggest mountain can be moved by the smallest pebble, if you know where to push." He hoped they could find that small pebble before it was too late for everyone. 3 months had passed since the creature first appeared. The news reports called it the Void Render now, though most people just called it the Monster. Admiral Junho stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Galaxy's Edge, looking out at the largest fleet ever assembled in galactic history. Ships from 12 different species floated in perfect formation around him. The silver vessels of the Altarians gleamed like knives. The living bioships of the Nethrix pulsed with organic light. Even the mysterious Shadowkin had sent their dark, barely visible craft to join the fight. "All ships report ready, Admiral," said his aide, Commander Heisu. She was one of the best soldiers in the Starbreaker Corps, genetically enhanced to be faster and stronger than normal humans. If anyone could lead troops against this monster, it was her. "How many do we have?" Junho asked, though he already knew the number by heart. 2,437 ships, sir. Every weapon type known to the galaxy. Quantum disruptors, reality bombs, temporal loop generators. Even 3 weaponized black holes from the cosmic engineers. Junho nodded. It should be enough. It had to be enough. The creature had already destroyed 17 star systems. Billions of people were dead. Entire species had gone extinct in a matter of weeks, and the creature... "Still moving through the Crimson Nebula, sir. It's gotten bigger since Keth Prime. Our scouts estimate it's now over 400 meters tall." 400 meters. Junho tried to imagine something that size and failed. The creature was bigger than most cities now, and it was still growing. "Sir," called out the communications officer, "Dr. Taewan from the research division wants to speak with you." "Put him through." Dr. Taewan's face appeared on the main screen. He looked tired, like he hadn't slept in weeks. His desk was covered with old books and data tablets. "Admiral, I've been studying every record we have of creatures like this. Ancient texts from civilizations that died out millions of years ago. Have you found anything useful?" "Maybe. There are fragments, stories really, about something called a guardian beast. The descriptions match our creature exactly. The same size, the same psychic powers, the same crystal-like appearance. Guardian? What was it guarding? That's the problem. The records are incomplete. But the important thing is that these ancient civilizations found a way to contain it. They didn't destroy it, but they made it stop attacking." "How?" Dr. Taewan shook his head. "I don't know yet. The records are too damaged, but I'm working on it." "Work faster, Doctor. We're about to attack in 1 hour." The screen went dark. Junho turned back to look at his fleet. 2,000 ships, the best weapons ever created and the greatest military minds in the galaxy. "It should be enough. All ships," he spoke into his communicator. "This is Admiral Junho. Today we face the greatest threat our galaxy has ever known. This creature has killed billions of our people. It has destroyed our homes, our families, our entire worlds. But today we fight back. Today we show this monster that the civilized species of the galaxy will not go quietly into the dark." The fleet began to move. The massive formation of ships headed toward the Crimson Nebula, where sensors showed the creature feeding on the energy of dying stars. Commander Heisu led her Starbreaker teams onto their assault ships. These soldiers were the best of the best, trained to fight in any environment, enhanced with technology and genetic modifications that made them superhuman. Remember your training, she told her squad. This thing is big and scary, but it's still just a creature. We've faced worse. That wasn't true, and everyone knew it. They had never faced anything like this. But saying it helped keep everyone calm. The fleet reached the edge of the nebula. The creature was there, floating among the red clouds of space dust and dying stars. It was even bigger than the reports had said. Its black crystal skin reflected the red light of the nebula, making it look like it was made of blood and shadow. All ships, attack pattern Alpha, Junho ordered. The first wave of ships opened fire. Quantum disruptors, weapons that could tear apart the fabric of space itself, hit the creature's hide. The beams of energy were bright enough to blind anyone looking directly at them. The creature turned toward the fleet. Its burning red eyes focused on the attacking ships, and it opened its mouth. The roar that came out was not just sound. It was pure psychic energy, the concentrated essence of fear and death. The first line of ships simply stopped working. Their crews fell unconscious instantly. Some died on the spot, their minds unable to handle the creature's psychic assault. Second wave, fire, Junho shouted. Reality bombs exploded around the creature. These weapons could erase anything from existence, removing it from the universe completely. The explosions were so powerful that nearby stars flickered and dimmed. When the light faded, the creature was still there. Not only was it unharmed, it looked bigger than before. "Sir," reported the science officer, "the creature is absorbing the energy from our weapons. Every attack is making it stronger. Temporal weapons now." The time loop generators activated. These devices could trap a target in a bubble of frozen time, making it unable to move or act. The air around the creature began to shimmer and bend. The creature simply walked through the time, distortion like it was walking through water. "Impossible," whispered someone on the bridge, "Commander." Hisu and her Starbreakers launched from their ships. They wore powered armor that let them survive in space and weapons that could destroy buildings. 50 of the best soldiers in the galaxy flew toward the creature. The creature looked at them with what might have been curiosity. Then it reached out with one massive hand. Hayasu felt her mind being invaded. Thoughts that weren't her own filled her head. Images of death and destruction, fear so pure and strong that she couldn't breathe. Around her, she could hear her soldiers screaming over the radio. "Fall back," she ordered, but half her team was already floating motionless in space, their minds broken by the creature's psychic attack. "All ships, retreat," Admiral Junho commanded, though it hurt him to say it. "Full retreat now." The fleet turned and ran. Behind them, the creature watched them go with those burning red eyes. It didn't follow them. It didn't need to. It had made its point. Back on the flagship, Junho slumped in his command chair. They had thrown everything they had at the creature, and it had barely noticed. Worse, their attacks had made it stronger. "Casualties?" he asked, though he didn't want to hear the answer. 347 ships lost, sir. About 30,000 crew members dead or missing. Commander Hisu's team lost 23 soldiers. 30,000 good people dead because he had ordered them to attack something that couldn't be harmed by weapons. "What now, sir?" asked his aide. Junho looked out at what was left of his fleet. The most powerful military force ever assembled, reduced to less than half strength in a single battle. "Now we evacuate everyone we can from the outer rim," he said quietly, "and we pray that Dr. Tehuan finds something in those old books." In the distance, the creature had returned to feeding on the dying stars. Each star it consumed made it grow larger and more powerful. At this rate, it would be unstoppable within weeks. The galaxy's greatest warriors had tried and failed. The most advanced weapons ever created had only made the creature stronger. Fear was spreading through every civilized world as people realized that nothing could protect them. But in a small research lab on a distant station, Dr. Tehuan continued to work. Somewhere in the ancient texts, there had to be an answer. There had to be some way to stop this thing. The creature had resisted all their weapons, all their armies, all their technology. But maybe, just maybe, the answer wasn't about fighting at all. Maybe it was about something else entirely. Something the old civilizations had known, but forgotten to write down clearly. Something that didn't require weapons or soldiers or advanced technology. Something simple. 2 weeks after the incident at the refugee ship, the galaxy was a different place. The creature that everyone had called the Void Render now floated peacefully in a special area of space near the Kepler system. Scientists from dozens of species had gathered to study it, but they were no longer studying a monster. They were learning from a guardian. Dr. Taiwan stood in the observation deck of the research station New Dawn, watching as small shuttles moved around the creature like birds around a gentle giant. The massive being had allowed them to build the station nearby and even seemed to enjoy the company. "Any new discoveries today?" asked Minji, who walked into the room holding her mother's hand. Nari still felt nervous being so close to the creature, but she had learned to trust her daughter's instincts. Minji had been right about everything so far. "Yes, actually," Dr. Taiwan said with excitement. "We've learned that your friend isn't the only one. There are more like it. According to the psychic communications you've helped us establish, there are guardians scattered throughout the galaxy. They've been sleeping in hidden places, waiting for the signal to wake up." Seojun joined them at the window. He had been working with the engineering teams, trying to understand how the creature's technology worked. What they had discovered was amazing. "The creature isn't just biological," he explained to his daughter. "It's part living being and part machine, but not like any machine we've ever seen. The crystal parts of its body can process information faster than our best computers." "Is that why it can talk in my head?" "Exactly. And it's why it was able to absorb our weapon attacks and get stronger. The crystal parts can take any kind of energy and convert it into something useful." Dr. Giwan, a child psychologist who had been brought in to study why children could communicate with the creature better than adults, walked over to join their conversation. "I've been working with children from several different species," she said. "The results are fascinating. Young minds seem to operate on different psychic frequencies than adult minds." "What does that mean?" Nari asked. "Adults think in complex patterns. We worry about consequences, we make judgments, we filter everything through our fears and experiences. Children's minds are more direct and open. They don't have the mental barriers that adults develop." Minji nodded like this made perfect sense to her. Grown-ups think too hard about things. The big animal doesn't think the way grown-ups do either. It thinks more like kids do. "That's exactly right," Dr. Gaiwan agreed. "The creature's mind is ancient but not complicated. It thinks in terms of simple concepts. Protect, danger, safe, friend. Adult minds are too cluttered with complex thoughts for it to understand easily." Captain Doyun entered the observation area, followed by Commander Hyesu. Both of them looked much more relaxed than they had during the battles 3 months ago. "How's the communication training going?" Dohyun asked. "Very well," Dr. Taewon replied. "We now have 12 children from 8 different species who can maintain psychic contact with the Guardian. We're calling them the Speaker Corps." "And they're all learning Korean?" Hisu asked with a smile. "Actually, that's interesting," Dr. Giwan said. "The specific language doesn't seem to matter. What matters is the tone and intent." Minji's command worked because she spoke with calm authority, the way you would to a beloved pet that was misbehaving. Minji giggled at being called a pet owner to a 400-meter space monster. "But there's something more important we need to discuss," Dr. Taewon said, his expression becoming serious. "The Guardian has been showing us images of what's coming." The group moved to the main briefing room where a large holographic display showed a map of the galaxy. Dark spots marked areas where the Guardian sensed approaching danger. "According to our friend, there are creatures coming from the space between galaxies," Dr. Taewon explained. "They're called shadow feeders and they consume entire star systems by draining all the energy out of them." "How long do we have?" Dohyun asked. "The Guardian's perception of time is different from ours, but we estimate about 2 years before the first scouts arrive. The main invasion force would come several years after that." Seojun studied the holographic display. "What can we do against something like that?" "That's where our Guardian friends come in," Dr. Taewon said. "The ancient civilization that created them designed them specifically to fight shadow feeders. They're immune to energy drain, and their psychic abilities can disrupt the feeders' coordination." "How many Guardians are there?" "We think about 20, scattered across the galaxy in hidden locations, but they've been sleeping for so long that most of them will need help remembering their purpose." Commander Hisu leaned forward. "You mean we need to wake them up and train them?" "Not exactly train them, more like help them remember. And that's where the Speaker Corps becomes, crucial." Dr. Giwan pulled up another display showing brain scans and psychic energy patterns. "Each Guardian needs to form a bond with someone who can help it communicate and stay focused on its mission. Adults can't do it effectively, our minds are too different. But children can form these bonds naturally." Nari felt a chill of fear. "You're talking about sending children to wake up these creatures?" "Not sending them alone," Dr. Taewon assured her. Each mission would be fully supported with adult teams. But yes, we need child speakers to make contact with the sleeping guardians. Minji had been listening quietly to all of this. Now she spoke up with the matter-of-fact tone she used when stating obvious truths. The guardians have been alone for a really long time. They're probably scared and confused, just like our friend was. If kids talk to them nicely and help them remember their job, they'll be happy to protect everyone. Are you willing to help with that, Minji? Do-hyun asked gently. Of course. The shadow feeders sound really scary. We need all the guardians awake and ready. Over the next several weeks, the speaker corps expanded rapidly. Children from across the galaxy volunteered to help, supported by their families and trained by the best scientists and psychologists available. Young Hyun-woo, a 7-year-old from the mining colonies, showed remarkable talent for understanding mechanical systems and was paired with engineering teams. 10-year-old Jisoo from the agricultural worlds had a gift for sensing emotional states and became one of the lead trainers. For new speakers, the first Guardian Awakening mission was launched toward a dead system on the galaxy's outer rim. Minji and her parents joined the expedition, along with Dr. Taewon and a full support team. The sleeping Guardian was found buried beneath the surface of a lifeless planet. It was smaller than their first friend, only about 200 meters tall, but it was embedded in a crystal matrix that had kept it in perfect hibernation for millions of years. When Minji approached the crystal chamber and placed her hands on its surface, the Guardian's eyes opened immediately. Unlike their first encounter, this awakening was gentle and peaceful. Hello, Minji said in her clear, calm voice. My name is Minji. We need your help to protect the galaxy from the shadow feeders. The Guardian's response was immediate understanding. It had been dreaming of the approaching darkness and was relieved to finally wake up with a purpose. One by one, the sleeping Guardians were found and awakened. Each one bonded with a child speaker and joined the growing alliance. Some were specialized for different types of combat, others for detection and communication. The galaxy watched in amazement as the creatures they had feared became their protectors. Children played games with beings that could destroy planets, and those same beings learned to work together as a coordinated defense force. As the 2-year deadline approached, 20 ancient guardians floated in formation around key systems throughout the galaxy. Each one was paired with a child speaker and supported by teams of scientists, engineers, and military personnel. The first shadow feeder scout ships began appearing at the galaxy's edge, probing for weaknesses and resources. But they found something they hadn't expected. They found guardians who remembered their purpose, supported by an entire civilization that had learned to see monsters as friends. The real battle for the galaxy's survival was about to begin, but this time, they were ready. The refugee ship Hope's Dream limped through space on failing engines. Seojin wiped sweat from his forehead as he worked on the damaged power core. Around him, the engine room was filled with smoke and the smell of burning metal. How long until we reach the safe zone? Called his wife Nari from the medical bay next door. At this speed, maybe 6 hours, Seojin replied, though he wasn't sure the engines would last that long. How are the passengers? Scared but alive. Mrs. Choi's baby is running a fever and old Mr. Park's heart medicine is running low. But we'll make it. Seojin hoped she was right. The Hope's Dream was carrying 327 refugees from the Kepler colonies. They had escaped just hours before the creature destroyed their worlds. Everything they owned, everyone they loved, was gone now. In the passenger area, their 6-year-old daughter Minji was playing with some of the other children. She had made a game out of the emergency lighting, pretending the red flashing lights were fireflies dancing in the dark. Daddy's fixing the ship, she told the younger kids. He's really good at fixing things. Seojin smiled when he heard her voice. Minji had been so brave through all of this. While adults cried about their lost homes, she had helped comfort the other children. She seemed to understand that being sad wouldn't help anyone right now. The main screen in the passenger area showed the news from other parts of the galaxy. The creature had destroyed 2 more star systems since the big battle at the Crimson Nebula. The Coalition fleet was in full retreat. Entire planets were being evacuated. Turn that off, said Mrs. Kim, one of the refugees. The children don't need to see that. But Minji was watching the screen with interest, not fear. She tilted her head to one side, the way she did when she was thinking hard about something. The big animal looked sad. She said quietly, "What did you say, dear?" asked Mrs. Kim. The big animal on the screen. It looked sad and lonely. The adults looked at each other with worried expressions. Was the child having some kind of breakdown? How could she look at that terrible creature and think it looked sad? Suddenly alarms began ringing throughout the ship. The lights flickered, and everyone could feel the ship shaking. Seojun's voice came over the speakers. Everyone hold on tight. We're having engine problems. But it wasn't just engine problems. Through the viewports they could see something impossible. The stars were bending and twisting like someone was stirring the sky with a giant spoon. It's here, whispered Captain Do-hyun, who had been traveling with the refugees to help coordinate the evacuation. The creature is here. The temperature inside the ship began to drop. Frost formed on the windows. The emergency lights dimmed until they were barely glowing. Then they saw it. The creature appeared outside their ship like a mountain made of black crystal and sharp edges. Its red eyes were bigger than their entire vessel. When it moved, reality seemed to bend around it. Most of the adults immediately fell to the floor, holding their heads and screaming. The creature's psychic presence was like a crushing weight on their minds. Some people fainted. Others just curled up in balls and shook with terror. But the children had different reactions. Some cried, but others just stared at the creature with curiosity. And Minji walked straight toward the observation deck where the creature's massive eye filled the entire window. Minji? No, Nari screamed, trying to crawl toward her daughter despite the psychic pressure that made it hard to think or move. Seojun forced himself to get up, fighting against the creature's mental attack. His head felt like it was being squeezed in a vice and his vision was blurry, but he had to reach his daughter. The creature's eye focused on the small figure approaching the window. For a moment, everything went completely silent. The psychic pressure stopped. The ship's alarms went quiet. Even the sound of the engines faded away. Minji pressed her small hand against the reinforced viewport. The creature's eye, which was easily 100 meters across, looked directly at her. "Hello," she said in a clear, calm voice. The creature didn't move. It just watched her with that enormous burning eye. Around the ship, other refugee vessels were arriving. Captain Do-hyun's rescue fleet had finally reached them, but the ship stayed far away. Everyone could see the massive creature hovering next to the Hope's Dream, but no one knew what to do. "This is Captain Do-hyun to all ships," came a voice over the radio. "Do not attack. Repeat, do not attack. There are civilians on that ship." Inside the Hope's Dream, Minji was still standing at the window. The creature hadn't moved or made any aggressive actions. It seemed to be waiting for something. "Why are you so sad?" Minji asked, talking to the creature like it was a person. Dr. Taewan's voice came over the emergency channel. He was on one of the rescue ships monitoring the situation with all kinds of scientific equipment. "This is impossible," he said. "The creature's psychic output has dropped to almost nothing. It's not attacking." Seojun managed to crawl over to where his daughter stood. The psychic pressure was much weaker now, though he could still feel it like a headache behind his eyes. "Minji, we need to move away from the window," he said gently. "But the big animal is talking to me, Daddy." "Talking? How? Not with words? With feelings. It's been alone for a very long time. It doesn't want to hurt people, but it doesn't know how to stop." Nari joined them at the observation deck. Like everyone else, she was confused and terrified. But her daughter seemed completely calm, like she was having a normal conversation with a friend. "What does it want?" Nari asked. Minji was quiet for a moment, concentrating on something only she could sense. "It wants someone to understand. All the other people it met were afraid or angry. They tried to hurt it, so it hurt them back. But it doesn't want to fight anymore." Dr. Taewan's voice came over the radio again. "We're reading some kind of communication happening between the child and the creature. Psychic patterns we've never seen before." The creature slowly began to move closer to the ship. Its massive form filled the viewport completely now. The adults on board started to panic again, but Minji remained calm. "It's okay," she said. Though it wasn't clear if she was talking to the creature or to the people around her. The ship's hull began to creak and groan under some kind of pressure. Warning lights flashed as the creature's presence started to affect their systems. "The ship can't take much more of this," Seojun said. "We need to do something." But what could they do? They were face to face with a creature that had destroyed entire fleets, and it was close enough to crush them with a single movement. Minji seemed to understand something that the adults couldn't. She looked up at her parents with those big, serious eyes that made her seem older than 6 years. "I think I know what to say," she told them. "What do you mean?" Grandma used to have a big dog that was scared of storms. When it got frightened, it would act mean and bark at everyone. But if you talked to it the right way, it would calm down. Minji, that's not a dog. That's the most dangerous creature in the galaxy. I know, Daddy, but maybe it's scared too. The creature's eye was now so close to the window that they could see their own reflection in it. The ship continued to groan under the psychic pressure. Minji took a deep breath and placed both hands flat against the viewport. I know you're scared, she said to the creature. I know you've been alone for a long time. But you don't have to be mean anymore. We understand now. The creature made a sound that wasn't quite a roar. It was softer, almost like a whimper. And then Minji spoke one word in Korean, her voice clear and confident. Anja. Down. The word hung in the silence of space like a prayer. Anja. For a moment that felt like forever, nothing happened. The creature's massive eyes stared down at the tiny human child, pressed against the viewport of the refugee ship. Behind Minji, her parents held their breath. Around them, 300 people waited to see if they would live or die. Then, impossibly, the creature began to move. Its enormous form, which had destroyed fleets and consumed star systems, slowly began to lower itself. The movement was careful, gentle, like a giant trying not to step on something small and precious. Captain Do-hyun watched from his rescue ship in complete disbelief. Are you seeing this? He whispered to his crew. On the research vessel, Dr. Taewon stared at his instruments with wide eyes. The psychic readings are off the charts, but not in an aggressive way. It's almost like the creature is trying to be submissive. The creature settled into what could only be called a sitting position. Its massive legs folded beneath it, and its head lowered until it was closer to the level of the refugee ship. The movement created small waves of energy that rippled through space, but they were gentle waves, not the destructive forces everyone had expected. Inside the Hope's dream, people began to stand up. The crushing psychic pressure was gone. The fear that had made it hard to think clearly was fading away. Children who had been crying stopped their tears and looked out the windows with wonder. How did she do that? Seojin asked, looking at his daughter in amazement. Minji turned away from the viewport to look at her parents. She had a small smile on her face, the kind she got when she had solved a puzzle or learned something new. I remembered what Grandma taught me about her dog, she said simply. Sometimes when animals are scared or hurt, they act mean. But if you're not afraid of them and you speak nicely, they remember how to be good. Nari knelt down beside her daughter. But honey, how did you know what to say? The big animal was showing me pictures in my head. Pictures of being alone for a really long time. Pictures of trying to protect something but not knowing how. It was confused and sad. Dr. Taewon's voice came over the ship's communication system. This is Dr. Taewon to the Hope's dream. We're reading stable psychic patterns from the creature. It appears to be in a calm state. Can the child tell us anything else about what she experienced? Captain Do-hyun took over the radio. Minji, can you hear me? This is Captain Do-hyun. You just did something incredible. Can you tell us more about what the creature showed you? Minji walked over to the communication panel, still completely unafraid. Her parents stayed close beside her. It showed me that it's been sleeping for a very long time, she said into the microphone. But something woke it up and it was scared. It didn't know where it was or why everything was different. What about the attacks? Why did it destroy those ships and planets? Minji was quiet for a moment, her face serious as she tried to find the right words. It wasn't trying to hurt people at first, but everyone it met was afraid of it or tried to attack it. So it got scared too. And when it's scared, it accidentally hurts things, like when you have a bad dream and you kick the covers off. The radio was quiet as everyone processed this information. The most terrifying creature in galactic history had been acting out of fear and confusion, not evil intent. Is it still dangerous? Asked Dr. Taewon. I don't think so, Minji replied. Not if people don't try to hurt it. It just wants to understand what's happening. On his research ship, Dr. Taewon was frantically checking his readings. The creature's energy signature had completely changed. Instead of the chaotic, destructive patterns they had recorded before, he was seeing organized, almost peaceful waves of psychic energy. Captain Do-hyun, he said over the radio, I think we need to try something. Can we establish a direct communication link with the creature through the child? Is that safe? I don't know, but this might be our only chance to understand what we're dealing with. Do-hyun made a decision that would change the course of galactic history. Minji, would you be willing to talk to the creature again? To ask it some questions for us? Minji looked at her parents. Seojin and Nari were terrified, but they could see that their daughter was not afraid. Something about her calm confidence made them trust her judgment. Okay, Minji said, but I need to touch the window again. She walked back to the observation deck and placed her hands on the viewport. The creature's eye immediately focused on her, and the gentle psychic connection reopened. Can you ask it where it came from? Dr. Taewon requested. Minji closed her eyes and concentrated. After a moment, her eyes opened wide with surprise. It says it came from the place between stars. It was made by people who lived a long time ago to watch and protect things, but the people went away and it had to sleep until something bad happened. What kind of bad thing? Things that eat stars and planets. Things that come from outside our space and want to destroy everything. The big animal was supposed to stop them, but it's been asleep so long it forgot how to do its job properly. Dr. Taewon felt his heart racing. This matched the fragments he had found in the ancient texts. The creature wasn't a destroyer at all. It was a guardian that had been awakened too early and without proper instructions. Ask it if the dangerous things are coming now, he said urgently. Minji concentrated again. When she opened her eyes, her face was pale. It says yes. They're coming from the dark places between galaxies. The big animal can feel them getting closer. That's why it woke up. How long do we have? It doesn't think in time the way we do, but it shows me pictures of the dangerous things. They're like shadows that eat light and make everything cold and empty. Captain Do-hyun had been listening to everything. Now he made another crucial decision. Minji, can you tell the creature that we want to help? That we didn't understand before, but now we do? The little girl nodded and pressed her forehead against the cool viewport. The psychic connection deepened, and for a moment, everyone on the ship could feel an echo of what she was experiencing. They felt the creature's loneliness, eons of isolation, waiting and watching for threats that never came. They felt its confusion when it woke up to find the galaxy full of new species and civilizations it didn't recognize. They felt its pain when those new species attacked it out of fear. And they felt something else, a deep protective love for all living things. The creature hadn't destroyed those ships and planets out of malice. It had been trying to defend itself while also trying to figure out how to protect the galaxy from the real threat that was coming. When the connection faded, there were tears in many eyes. The monster that had terrified them was actually their protector, doing its best to fulfill an ancient duty it barely remembered. Tell it we're sorry, Captain Do-hyun said quietly. Tell it we understand now and we want to help. Minji smiled and spoke directly to the creature both out loud and through their psychic link. We're sorry we were scared of you. We know you're trying to protect us. We want to be friends and help you do your job. The creature's response was immediate and overwhelming. A wave of relief and gratitude washed over all the ships in the area. The massive being made a sound that was almost like purring, a deep rumble of contentment that vibrated through space itself. For the first time in millions of years, the Guardian was no longer alone, and just in time, because in the dark spaces between galaxies, ancient hungers were stirring, sensing the light and warmth of their galaxy, and beginning the long journey toward it. The real war was about to begin.